We are live. How we doing, all you amazing Mets fans? It's your guy Wardy here, and we're back at it with our latest live edition of our New York Metropolitan post-game segment presented by our great friends at SeatGeek, BetUS, and Moo. But more on them later in the show, folks, because we not only have a big victory to break down as the Mets took down the Atlanta Braves in Game 4 of a 4-game set there to split that series at home, this time by a final score of 4-0. The Mets bullpen headlined by Mr. Warren as well as Daniel Nunez were absolutely nails. Stanek and Edwin Diaz shut down the door as you'd expect, and this all came after Griffin Canning had to prematurely exit tonight's ball game, what very well could be a really brutal injury for him and this Mets rotation. I am gutted to see that injury transpire. We all are gutted to see that injury transpire. So we're going to get into the initial reactions on the Griffin Canning injury, what the expectation is for him, if he is going to be out long term for this Mets team, or if somehow, some way he could be out shorter than what we initially expect. But we all saw the same thing. It didn't look good. They're calling it an ankle injury right now, but seriously, tell me that did not look exactly like what we all saw when it came to a normal Achilles pop. It did not look ideal. Again, I pray and I hope that I'm wrong, but I'm concerned on that front for Griffin. So this is another bittersweet victory for the New York Mets that we have to break down today. And this one, everybody, thank you guys kindly for hitting that like and subscribe on as your first time, and spam those W's in the live chat, everybody, is what your guy Wardy wants to see right here, right now, as we have a lot to get into in this one, because not only are we going to be answering all your comments, questions, and concerns throughout the entirety of this one, everybody, and yes, we are not happy on Canning. Should we find out clarity post-game by Carlos Mendoza or anyone on that front? We certainly will, but I do believe he will be getting imaging, and they will go on from there, everybody. But folks, how we feeling after a big Game 4 victory against the Atlanta Braves like this? A bittersweet victory, as I just mentioned, with Griffin Canning sustaining a non-contact injury in a very frustrating way if you're a fan, because you have seen your Mets pitchers go down in similar fashion with Kodai Senga last year, Senga again this season, now Griffin Canning. What is it with these Mets pitchers getting off the mound and unfortunately sustaining serious injuries? It absolutely sucks. I'm not happy to break that down, but what I am happy to break down, at least, everybody, is what was working well for the Mets today. This is how the Mets line ended, not how it started. As you guys can see, that's why you don't see McHits in there, because Jeff McNeil was the star of the ball game on the offensive end that we're going to be getting into here shortly. And I got to give credit where credit's due, guys. Jeff McNeil continues to be quietly one of the better hitters that we've seen out of the National League so far this season, and especially as of late, he continues to clutch up in more ways than one for this Mets team. On the pitching end, everybody, again, I'm going to let you guys, give me a collective grade on a scale of 1 to 10. How would you grade the Mets' overall pitching staff today? Because we can't grade just Griffin Canning with that very unfortunate injury that he sustained there right before the end of the third inning. But we have a lot to get into on Mr. Warren, who the Mets just called up today and was very impactful, to say the least. Daniel Nunez looking more like the Daniel Nunez of old from a season ago. That's massive for this Mets bullpen. Should that be consistent and should that continue, everybody? Ryan Stanek as well was absolutely nails. Edwin Sugar Diaz did exactly what you'd hope and expect Edwin to do. Many just said Achilles. All right, thank you so much. Let me double check. Griffin Canning has an Achilles injury on his left ankle, so that is exactly what we all suspected, everybody. So yes, it is confirmed. Carlos Mendoza has just confirmed it himself, everybody. Griffin Canning has the ankle injury, but it's the Achilles, so this is what it is. All right, it sucks. You hate to see it, especially the way he went down right away. Feel sorry for the guy, especially how big he's been for us, says Carlos Mendoza. I'm seeing if there's any other quotes that we got here. We think it's an Achilles, says not Griffin Canning, says Carlos Mendoza. He's getting an MRI. We're waiting for the results, but it looks like it's an Achilles injury. So yeah, not happy news to say the least on the Griffin Canning front. Should that be what we all think it is and suspect it to be, Griffin Canning's season will now be coming to an end, more than likely, Mets fans, which means that if you thought that the Mets didn't need reinforcements on the pitching end leading up to the MLB trade deadline, they most certainly need it now, regardless of the fact that Tyler McGill will be back, at some point from his IL stint. Kodai Senga will be back, obviously, that we're going to be getting more towards there in the end of July, as long as there's no setbacks or anything like that. So you do have reinforcements to a degree, but the immediate is that the Mets are going to certainly need help on the rotational front. And we have broken down numerous rotation options for this Mets team on the platform over the past couple weeks, and we'll continue to do exactly that. But folks, if you didn't think the Mets needed starting pitching, they most certainly do now. And while they do have in-house options that we're going to break down not only tonight, but as well as tomorrow, tomorrow, so be on the lookout for that, everybody. We do know for certain that one of Noel McLean or Jonah Don may very well find himself making his Mets debut sooner rather than later now, after the injury here to Griffin Canning, should it be long-term the way that we suspect it sadly to be. But now let's get back here to the main slide, everybody. I know you guys want me to do the jingle, but if I gotta be completely honest with you guys right now, I don't know if I can do the jingle right now. And the reason why I don't know if I can do the post-game jingle is not because of the fact of me wanting to entertain you guys or not. If you guys don't know the post-game jingle, we do that after every single big victory, and I do a little stupid dance because it's corny and we have fun with it, and I play a nice jingle that's created by our great friends here and great Mets content creators, Greg and Jordan, that you guys may know from social media. But given the fact that Griffin Canning went down with what we all believe to be season-ending injury, I don't want to dance on Buddy's grave right now. You know what I mean? It just feels wrong. I have a sour taste in my mouth regardless of the Mets winning this ball game. I'm happy that they're back in first place. I'm not complaining about that, obviously, but it comes so bittersweet tonight that I can't sit here with a big smile on my face and tell you how happy I am with this Mets team right now, because I'm not. You know, there are still many things that I'm frustrated by when it comes to this Mets club at the moment, and I do know that obviously when you look at this rotation front now, it appears that there's going to be some immediate changes with Griffin Canning going down, and we're going to talk about what those potential changes can be as well throughout the course of the live show tonight, guys. So be on the lookout for that. Pat W with the $2 holla. Thank you so much. 11 Ks, no walks, and 0 Braves runs. Grade of 9. I love that grade there. We're going to talk more about grading this pitching staff here in just a second, everybody. But Pat W, thank you so much again for the membership, my man. I hope you are doing fantastic this evening. And in memory of Canning, do the jingle. Maybe I'll do the jingle before the end of the live show if you guys are mind and ask me. I think I can meet you guys in the middle on that front. But folks, we're going to break down this ball game inning by inning, everything that transpired in this Metropolitan 4-0 victory, getting back there to first place. As you guys can take a look right here, right now. Here we go. The Metsies back in first there as the division leader, number 3 here on the overall standings this season. The Philadelphia Phillies kicked right back there to wildcard spot number 1. So even after the Mets drop 10 of 11 games, they do go right back in the first place spot, as Philadelphia has not fared too well since playing against the Mets, as we see. 47-34, 2.5 games up there for the first wildcard spot is Philadelphia, or Philadelphia, as your guy Wardy loves to label them. The Milwaukee Brewers here, number 2 on the list at 45-36, right around, 9 to 10 games above 500, a half game up there for the second wildcard spot. And the San Diego Padres, Slam Diego, 44-36 right there, 550 on the percentage, and they're right around even for the third wildcard spot. And right behind them all is the San Francisco Giants, the St. Louis Cardinals, the Cincinnati Reds, and the Arizona Diamondbacks. The D-backs are all the way to be 3 games out, with guys like Zach Gallen with a 70 ERA or his past number of outings, and a walk year, mind you. Mr. Corbin Burns out for the entire season with injury, and just a whole lot not clicking there in Arizona. But happy to say that the Mets are back in first, but of course, like everything else with this Mets season thus far, it feels like I've won, but at what cost? If you guys know that meme, right, when you think a soul for a soul, if you will, the Mets get back first place, even though it's only June 26th, and all they had to do to give it up was, in fact, a key starter to their rotation, likely for the remainder of the season. Ellie and Pena, we're actually going to talk about in tomorrow's video, so be on the lookout for that. Pena had a fantastic day today that we saw in the minor leagues. If you guys don't know Pena, he is an absolute stud muffin that the Mets signed to a $5 million signing bonus in the IFA signing period there earlier this winter. And because of that, Pena is now not only the biggest signing bonus in Mets team history, but there's lofty expectations for the young man there who commands shortstop and of course may move around later on in his career. Juliet, thank you so much for the membership. I greatly appreciate that, Juliet. I hope you are fantastic right now. But guys, before we deep dive this, let's give a quick shout out here to our great friends at BetUS that have you covered all of your sports betting needs and casino needs. But please make sure you guys are dabbling responsibly should you guys have interest in doing exactly that. And if you guys head over to betus.com.pa today, you can utilize our promo code YouTube150. That way you two get a 150% bonus on your first deposit, $125 on your second and your third, up to $2,000 for whatever you guys have interest in betting on. And as you guys can see here right now, the Pete Alonso home run odds are intriguing. Right now for Alonso to hit 38 or more home runs this season, he is at plus 225 odds. And I love those odds. I'm hammering those odds personally as a Mets fan, and rightfully so. And then you have 31 to 34, the plus 175 range, minus 150 at 35 to 37. I love the odds there at plus 225 for Alonso to get north of 40 home runs this year. So if you guys want to buy, sleep, bet like I am, feel free to check them out at betus.com.pa today for not only Alonso props, Lindor props, Juan Soto props, you name it on the Mets, among many other players in sports there across the games today. But shout out BetUS once more, everybody. Juliet, thank you you again so much for the membership. I appreciate that. Steve, how we doing? Great member in the chat. We got Michael Stroh, pitcher grade 7.75 out of 10. Yeah, we're going to talk more about the pitcher grades just here in a second, everybody. Let's see here. Broken Jester, great member. How are you? That stupid war chant, please. It's not a war chant, Matt. You know, stop getting your you know what's in a twist. You're going to get through this, I promise. Jack with the $2 holla. It's a bittersweet win. It is absolutely a bittersweet win. Thank you so much for the donation, my friend. Truman, Cam, Christian, how you doing? Let's see. Sharon, how you doing? Kevin, how are you? Rebecca, great member. Eric Douglas, great member, going up the list here, everybody. We got Juliet, if I didn't say them already. We got PB9, great member. We got Emerson, great member. We got Pat, great member. We got Lewis, how we doing, my man? Kevin, how are you? We got Truman, we got Gorilla, we got Matt, we got William, we got Phil, we got Truman in here, if I didn't say him, but I think I did. Dave Kaplitz, great member and friend on the platform. JTB, how are you? June, James, all you guys, thank you guys kindly for chiming in live at a replay. DMAC, great member as well. You guys are absolutely amazing. Skadoodle, James, all you guys, come one, come all. But let's get into breaking down this ballgame, everybody. But I really do want to say that the most important factor out of this is that obviously that Griffin Canning has a fully healthy and speedy recovery, regardless of the status of what that injury is. Obviously, it looks like it's a season ender, unfortunately, but regardless, I'm just happy to say that, you know, thankfully the Mets do still have some pieces in the staff, whether it's when it comes to the minor leagues, guys coming back from injury, and guys that they will consider via trade, where I don't think that this is going to necessarily be the demise of the season by any stretch, but it certainly does hurt the Mets when they need immediate help on the pitching front, when everything has really went wrong for this team over the past 2.5 weeks since Kodai Senga went down with injury. Since Senga went down with injury, has been that slippery slope there of Tyler McGill then going on the IL, not even a week after the fact, and then everything else since then with the Mets losing 10 of 11 games. A horrendous stretch, everybody. But now, after winning last night there, 7-3, with some big home runs from the one and only Juan Soto and Ronnie Mauricio, to now today with Mark Vientos back with this team, but not activated just yet, as he'll be back in the Mets lineup officially tomorrow, if I'm not mistaken. Ronnie Mauricio and Brett Beatty getting more reps today. They were productive, but who was most productive today on the offensive end? And the Mets 4-0 victory was certainly headlined by Jeff McNeil himself. But we're going to expand more on Jeff McNeil, what I've been loving so much about his game, as well as the other key contributions on the offensive end to take away from this ball game, everybody. But without further ado, let's go ahead and let's actually break down everything that transpired in this ball game, any 1 through 9, everybody. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the latest post-game show presented by our great friends at BetUS, Mumu, and SeatGeek. SeatGeek, 10% off your next ticket purchase, WardyNYM. A link down below with the promo code. You're welcome in advance, guys. Again, I'm here to help, especially with Citi Field selling out. Sold out crowd today that we saw at Citi Field. Things you absolutely love to see. Things we also love to see. Ron Acuna Jr. called out on strikes to begin the ball game. Matt Olson was called out on strike to begin the ball game as well because he struck out. It's a little bit different there. Back-to-back strikeouts, however, to begin this ball game that we saw for Griffin Canning, who is certainly in an early groove. Again, a damn shame to see him go down the way that he did. Marcell Ozuna there with the ground out, which ended for a clean 1-2-3 for Griffin Canning, getting us set for the bottom of that same inning, everybody, as we would see Lindor fly out, a fly out by Nimmo, and then a ground out by Soto, 1-2-3 there that we saw for Grant Holmes. Mind you, Grant Holmes is coming off of a dominant 14 or 15 strikeout performance against the Colorado Rockies, in which somehow, some way, the Rockies actually won that game still. In the second inning, we see the Braves in order. Riley, Murphy, Albies, 1-2-3, you're out of here. Another fantastic early inning there by Griffin Canning. The final full inning of not only today, but potentially a long period of time, unfortunately, as he would get a huge strikeout there on Sean Murphy. Again, I loved how Canning looked to begin this ball game, too. It really, that's what makes us sting that much more. What is it with Mets starters going down with significant injuries when they're playing the Atlanta Braves? It was Kodai Senga last season, and now it's Griffin Canning this season, with eerily similar injuries in the sense of the dramaticness and knowing that they're not okay. Well, I digress. In the bottom of the second, the Mets go down in order as we see Alonso pop up, but then McNeil strikes out and Taylor strikes out as Tyrone got the start back in center today. At the top of the third, then we see 1-2-3, and that does it for Griffin Canning's final day. I apologize, not 1-2-3, but it was a 1-2-3 for Griffin as he would only face 3 more batters. Eli White gets on with a leadoff single, and then Michael Harris flies out. Then we see Nick Allen ground out, but it comes at the cost of Griffin Canning and a good chunk of time. Canning goes down with his injury, everybody, and here comes Austin Warren, who makes his not necessarily, debut, because I know Austin Warren was with the Mets earlier this year, everybody. And I'll play the jingle before the end of the ball, before the end of the post-game show if you guys want me to. I personally just pushed the jingle aside, mainly because of the fact that I did not want to be dancing on the grave of Griffin Canning's injury right now. That felt wrong, and I don't want to do that to my guy Griffin. And one thing that I really appreciate about Griffin too is that my son Shay, who's just over 1 year of age, attended his first and only Mets game earlier this year back in May, and Canning was towing the rubber, and Canning had a rock solid performance against the Chicago Cubs as the Mets won that series finale there. Even with PCA hitting a home run, it didn't matter. They got enough from the boys, including a Mark Vientos home run, if I'm not mistaken. But going back into this one, guys, Austin Warren, who was with the Mets for a little stint earlier this year because of the doubleheader. That's right. He was a 27th man, if I'm not mistaken, on a doubleheader. Maybe it was against the Cardinals earlier this season. And Warren was fine then, and he was more than fine today as he came in this ball game. But before we talk more on Warren, as he would get a pop out on Acuna to end the inning unscathed for the Mets on the top of the third. In the bottom of the third, we would see Brett Beatty lead off the inning with a single. So Brett the hitman on right away, which we all love to see. Then after a Terren's ground out, Rodney Mauricio gets on with a single as well. So there's 2 on 1 away right away for Francisco Lindor. What does Lindor do? He strikes out swinging. And this was a frustrating at bat for me, at least. It was a nasty slider, but it was just perfectly placed there down and in on Lindor from righty to lefty, and that got him to bite big time. That's a pitch I felt like that Lindor could have turned on, especially after he hacked away the pitch to hit, which was the cutter right down the pipe, middle, 93 meatball. Very unfortunate. As soon as Lindor missed that, though, I didn't love it. I was like, this is not going to end well, is it? Regardless, Lindor struck out there, and then Nimmo flew out to end it for the inning. In the fourth inning, everybody, we would see Marcell Ozuna 1-out single, and that does it, however. Sean Murphy would strike out swinging, and that will do it for Austin Warren, who is fantastic in 2 strong innings of work for this Mets team. And I apologize because he would still have one more. I was getting ahead of myself because I know he began that inning there with a final out to get there in relief for Mr. Griffin Canning. And as we then fast forward, folks, to the bottom of the fourth inning, the one and only Juan Soto does what he does best outside of solo home runs, and that is by getting on base via the walk. After Soto gets on with a walk, the polar bear and Pete Alonso rips himself a single. Pete had a great day at the plate today, and that was really encouraging to see. Jeff McNeil flew out, and then Tyrone Taylor had himself a sac fly. Another clutch opportunity for Tyrone Taylor. Runners in scoring position, and he pounces. This is why we love ourselves some TT. He doesn't only give you elite defense and elite base running. Tyrone Taylor can give you a clutch hit or a sac fly like he certainly did there in the bottom of the fourth. And that made it 1-0 New York Mets. And then a Brett Beatty walk, and then a Luis Torrens strikeout later. That does it for the inning, but not before the Mets find themselves taking a 1-0 lead. Torrens' bat has really fallen off as of late over the past couple weeks that we have seen, which is in hand as to why we saw a guy like Taylor batting all the way in the 6th spot today, whereas Torrens was batting around 8th. We then see in the top of the 5th, everybody, Ozzie Albies struck out swinging. Eli White with a fly out, and Michael Harris with a ground out, and that did it, everybody, for Austin Warren's final inning of work. 2.1 shutout for Austin Warren, who is yet to allow a run at the major league level this season across, I believe, 3 innings or so at least. In the bottom of the 5th, folks, we see Rodney Mauricio with a strikeout to kickstart things. Then Lindor now gives the Mets the hit that we see with a 1-out single, and Brandon Nimmo backs him up right back-to-back, just like that, going from Lindor to Nimmo. Back-to-back singles for the boys. You got 2 on, less than 2 out. What happens after a Juan Soto pop-out? Pete Alonso, as I said, had a really good game today, and he ripped himself a line drive up the middle there to Michael Harris, and that gave the Mets right there a 2-0 lead. That was 97 off the bat there from Alonso, just enough to drive in a run, and that gives the Mets up 2-0, and then we see Jeff McNeil get on with a walk. But here we have another situation with Tyrone Taylor where he has runners on base and a potentially runner to score in scoring position, but he was not able to do that as he was strike out swinging this time, not before the Mets are now up 2-0, everybody. And as we would get on to the 6th in this one, and mind you, the Mets go on to win this one by a final score of 4-0. For everyone first chiming in live at a replay, thank you guys again for hitting that like and subscribe button as you first chime in. I greatly appreciate that. And let me know all your initial reactions, thoughts, concerns, analysis, and everything in between to the Griffin Canning injury, what is next now for this Mets rotation, and ultimately how we feel about Mets fans as the boys have in fact split this 4-game set against the Atlanta Braves, are now back in first place on the division. But as we continue on from here, everybody, in the bottom of the 6th inning, we would see Pierce Johnson come in because we would have Danilo Nunez shut the door down big time in the 6th inning. Shout out to Danilo Nunez, who looked fantastic today. I'm going to expand more on Nunez here shortly, everybody. But in the bottom of 6, we would see Pierce Johnson come in and get a 1-2-3 on Beatty, Torrens, Mauricio. In the 7th inning then, folks, we would see Ozuna call down strikes. Austin Riley strikes out swinging on what was just gorgeous placement there that we saw by Danilo Nunez. Nasty slider down and away at 88 miles per hour. And then Sean Murphy, who's already had a strikeout or 2 in this ballgame. Let's make it another one as Murphy strikes out there on high heat, 96 upstairs on the righty batter. And that does it, folks, for a 1-2-3. And Danilo Nunez just casually struck out the effing side, guys. Let's talk more about Danilo Nunez and Austin Warren in particular, everybody, because they were absolutely dominant in this one. Starting here for a second, let's break down Austin Warren here very briefly, because there was a lot to love about how Warren worked these Braves batters today. And it began with the fact that Warren had the sweeper utilized more than any other pitch at 34% of the arsenal, topping out at 86 and sitting right around 84. And make sure to hit that like and subscribe on, guys. Chime in as we're breaking down the latest New York Metropolitan victory here, presented by BetUS, Mumu, and SeatGeek. Help us get to 200 plus likes to our live viewers and reoccurring viewers. Thank you guys kindly for that. But the sweeper was working big time, especially against left-handed batters today. And then the sinker at 25% of the arsenal, topped out 96, 95, 96 area, sat right around 94. The cutter at 25%, topped out 88 and sat right around 87. The four-seam fastball at 13%, topped out 93 and sat right around 93. And the changeup at just a measly 3% there at one pitch was at right around 87 miles per hour. And not tongue-tied. I apologize, everybody. Now going from Austin Warren, let's head over to Danilo Nunez, where Danilo Nunez, who, mind you, let's not forget the immediate impact that Danilo Nunez had for this Mets bullpen that we saw last season. And, 20 to 30 innings, buddy had just over a 2 ERA. The expected numbers were just as good. He was unbelievably dominant. And to begin this season, he didn't have the stuff right away, but now he has it. Danilo Nunez is officially back, everybody, as he topped out 99 on the gun tonight, looking deadly, looking nasty that we saw there with a fastball, sitting 97 there, which was huge. That's over a mile per hour up from his season average previously in his handful of outings. The slider that he utilized more than the fastball today at 58%, topped out 91 and sat right around 89. That too was up by a full mile per hour or so. So Danilo Nunez looks like he now has it, everybody. So if I'm going to give a big grade for this Mets pitching staff, you guys know it's going to be a good one, but I'm not going to give it to you just yet because I still got to talk about our guys and Ryan Stanek and Edwin Diaz there. But seriously, I mean, just unbelievably impressive what Warren was able to do to come in rushing like that after the Griffin Canning injury, and then Danilo Nunez to handle that situation back-to-back innings. He looked nasty. Danilo Nunez finally looked like a guy that we could potentially rely on in high leverage situations down the stretch. If that's the case, then that's massive, because between Nunez and Stanek in those 7th, 8th inning spots, the Mets will now have some flexibility, some readability, and finally some consistency there from this bullpen. That's at least what one can hope for after a big victory like this one, everybody. And the post-game jingle will come before the end of the live show, as long as you guys continue to berate me about it. I just didn't want to do it to begin the show because it felt too wrong. I'm talking about Griffin Canning potentially having a season-ending injury in the same sets. It just felt disgusting. I couldn't do it. I apologize, guys. But now, as we hop back to this one, guys, let's continue to break down the lays here in Metsland, as the Mets went on to win again by a final score of 4-0. How the Mets went on to win by a final score of 4-0 had a lot to do with not just the pitching staff, but it was solid, timely hitting from this New York Metropolitan team. As we got to the bottom of the 7th, after Danilo Nunez casually struck out the side, Dylan Dodd comes in to replace Pierce Johnson, and then it starts with a ground out there with Francisco Lindor. Then a strikeout with Mr. Brandon Nimmo, a single for the one and only Juan Soto with 2 away, because of course he does. And this would be a huge, not rally starter, as the Mets were already winning this ball game 2-0, but just a huge jolt to this offense there late in this ball game after the 7th inning stretch. 2 away, not a problem for the one and only, who, mind you, he smoked that single that we saw the right side at 95 plus miles per hour. And after Soto ripped himself the single, we saw Pete Alonso rip himself a double there into deep left field, and that makes it not necessarily a 3-0 lead for the Mets yet, but it does put runners at 2nd and 3rd there. Well, 2 outs for Jeff McNeil. And Jeff McNeil has been a hits god that we've seen for a good stretch now this season. And Jeff McNeil, more like Jeff McHits big time. 2-out RBI hits, high leverage, late and close situations, all the runner and scoring position statistics that you could think of where you need a guy to clutch up late and close in a ball game. Jeff McNeil was there, and that's why he deserves huge kudos tonight. Jeff McNeil's 2-run single makes it 4-0 Mets, but the big takeaway is that McNeil does this with 2 outs and continues what has been a fantastic season. Afterwards, McNeil would actually be pulled for Travis Jankowski, who would come in a pinch run for him, and then he would go in the outfield for the final 2 inning or so, and then we would see Tyrone Taylor ground out, but not before the Mets have themselves a 4-0 lead. And like I said, guys, shout out to Jeff McNeil. He has been beyond productive as of late. I know you guys have been also talking about what has been going on the trade front. So regarding trade stuff, we did come out with a video earlier today regarding potential fits for the Mets based on recent reporting. And we're going to have a lot more to get into on the trade topics, especially now leading up to the MLB trade deadline, and especially now with a guy and sadly Mr. Griffin Canning out with injury. Let's see. Oh no, AJ, I am so sorry to hear that. That crushes me. Well, you know, the mood was already dampened with the Canning injury, but nothing even comes close to what I'm now reading. Let me just start by saying my condolences, and that's an understatement. AJ, I'm thinking about you, your entire family, all your loved ones, everyone that has been impacted and is grieving, and it's beyond difficult time. I can only imagine what you're going through, you know, and I don't wish on anybody, but AJ, please know how much I appreciate you for going out of your way to still be chiming into the live chat and feel that this was a great safe space for you to feel comfortable to chime in, to be so open and honest and be public with that news. Obviously, that is the last thing that you ever want to hear or find out, but I do greatly appreciate the fact that you went out of your way to do so. I wish you didn't donate, because that's something that if I saw in the chat, regardless, I would have been acknowledging, but thank you kindly for that. Thank you so much for being a great supporter. And once more, I'm so sorry, beyond sorry, devastating loss. I can only imagine. And she was a huge Bud Harrelson, Pete Rose. Let's see, she was at the Bud Harrelson, Pete Rose fight at Shea in 1973. Wow, at least she went out with a Mets win. That's amazing. I can't believe that she was not only a part of that, but who knows how many other great moments I'm sure she witnessed as a Mets fan along with you as well. So AJ, thank you so much for the donation, my friend. And my condolences. That is all I have to say to you. Just absolutely brutal news. So sorry. If you guys do not know or understand what I'm talking about, if you don't see the live chat, AJ Vasquez, who's been a longtime subscriber and member here, unfortunately lost his mother tonight due to cancer. And just absolutely horrendous news. The big C is something that continues to torment us all. And my family's been impacted by it. I know your family obviously has to a significant amount right now. I know so many of you guys are watching this live and a replay have as well. So just know that your mother is deeply in my thoughts. I will be praying for her plenty. And you have my forever condolences here. So sorry to hear that, AJ. Again, thank you so much for the donation, though. And guys, can we please get some rest in peace for AJ in the chat? That'd be very kind of you guys. Thank you so much for doing that. Care Bear, thank you so much for being a great member of a month here. We really appreciate you as always. Hyper Mario, great member in the chat as well. Happy to have you in here. Alvin, all you guys. And I, again, do apologize for going a little off course from the breakdown of the ball game, but as soon as I realized what I was seeing in the chat, I couldn't disregard it. That's one of those things that's bigger than baseball and needs to be talked about for a second. And the reason why I really want to highlight that too, and, you know, make that reaffirm each and every one of you, it's not just because it was donated, but also because of the fact that, like, this is a community, right? Like, the way that you guys have impacted me on a daily basis is in ways I can't even begin to tell you. You guys have forever changed my life to begin with, to make a dream job into a reality. The fact that we made this hobby into a full-time thing by covering the Mets daily, and I'm working in the baseball space in various avenues, is all thanks to all you guys with the amazing viewership. But it's the community that we build as well. It's so strong. It's thousands upon thousands strong here, with over 30,000 on YouTube right now, thousands across other platforms. And it's just knowing that it's such a safe and comfortable space to come in to share your opinions, and also, you know, maybe get vulnerable, maybe open up a little bit, because if there's one thing that brings people together, regardless of their background, regardless of their differences, is most certainly fandom, and it's that commonality, being a true diehard Mets fan. So it really is amazing how fandom can bring people together the way that most certainly did in tonight's case. So AJ, thank you once more again for the donation. Thinking about you, my friend, and everyone that's been impacted or has had losses of recent. Please know that you know, I'm thinking about you and your loved ones plenty in this time of grief. But getting back into this one, everybody, we do have a ball game to still break down, so I don't want to you know, I don't want to pull a whole what's his face, Nick Castellanos, and there's a drive in deep left field. After, if you guys don't know what I'm referencing, the former play-by-play announcer for the Cincinnati Reds ended up losing his job because of saying, I don't know if it was a slur, just something that like he should not have said on air. And as he was giving his apology form, Nick Castellanos hit a home run, and that kind of kickstarted all the Nicky C jokes now with the Philadelphia Phillies as well, where like something either hilarious or tragic happens anytime he hits a home run, which is why when he was doing well against the Mets, I was like, what the hell's going on? What was the bad thing that happened? But I will say this though, and I'm actually getting to the point where I'm about to lose my train of thought for a second. So I actually sincerely apologize, folks. But I did have a point there. I was getting somewhere. Regardless, let's just reel back into this one. But let's break down this ball game. Let's talk about it. That's what I was trying to say, is I didn't want to have a full moment like the announcer where I'm just casually talking about something so serious and then bam, there's a drive in the deep left field. But we do still have a couple more innings, and I know that AJ wants me to break down the remainder of this ball game. So I'm going to go ahead and do exactly that. But all right, guys, as we continue on from here, we only have 2 more innings. So, we're almost not even a full 2 innings because the Mets won this one, obviously, and they were at home today. But in the top of the 8th inning, we saw Travis Jankowski get some outfield reps there. And here comes Ryan Stanek, and Ryan Stanek faces off against Ozzie Albies, and this goes in favor of Mr. Ryan Stanek. He gets a fly out there on Albies. He then gets a ground out on Eli White, and then he gets Michael Harris striking out, and that was a big strikeout. Another high-temper moment for Ryan Stanek on just 3 pitches, 98 away. Wasn't even close. Michael Harris looks like you could throw a beach ball his way this year, and he won't know how to hit it. That's just been the case with him as of late. And 3 pitches, you're out of here. Ryan Stanek with some back-to-back dominant outings for the Mets or so that we've seen out of the bullpen. Love to see that there. Love me some Ryan Stanek performing well. Then in the bottom of the 8th, everybody, we see Peterson come in, Michael Peterson, that is, for Dylan Dodd. And it's a 1-2-3 there against the Mets between a Beatty fly out, a Terens line out, and a Ronnie Mauricio strikeout. Then gets us set for Edwin Sugar Diaz in the 9th inning. And in the 9th inning, right away, it's a flat on Drake Baldwin, which I was very happy about because I do not like Drake Baldwin. I have a huge problem with the Braves catchers, if you guys don't know this by now. It's mainly because of the fact that the Braves have consistently churned out great catching talent for like every year my fandom, it feels like. But specifically from going from the Travis Starno tandem there for a long period of time to a degree with William Contreras, then trading away Contreras, even trading away Shea Langeliers when they had him as a prospect still, which is insane to me, and then bringing in Sean Murphy from the A's, and now Darno's out of here, but the first year that Darno is officially gone. They have Drake Baldwin balling out big time as a fantastic left-handed hitting catcher. So the fact that Baldwin was able to fly out quickly really had me relieved. Hilariously enough, I was more concerned about the Drake Baldwin at bat than I was the Ronald Acuna Jr. at bat, because I really like the quality of at bats that Baldwin has. Not to slight Acuna, not that he can be a difference maker, because we know he can, but tonight for whatever reason, I just have more concern with Baldwin at the plate. And he flew out here as Acuna then flew out himself as well. And then Matt Olson ripped himself a 2-out single, because Edwin Diaz loves to have saves, especially when he allows at least one runner on. He really locks in after the fact, including striking out Marcell Ozuna like the absolute bulldog and madman that he is, as he had the 99 fastball down and away there, right around middle and away, I should say. And that did it for the ball game on just 4 pitches against Ozuna. The Mets go on to win this one, everybody, as I stated, by a final score of 4-0, and they out-hit the Atlanta Braves tonight 9-3, and they had an expected batting average of 292 to 175 there of the Atlanta Braves, everybody. And now after the Mets win a ball game the way that they most certainly did tonight, now all we really have to say is, damn, what do the Mets do with this rotation now? What do the Mets do with this rotation now? I can't find any Braves post-game live shows on right now, probably because they lost. Maybe that's the reason why. Sean with the $2 haul, praying for Candyman. We have awful luck, LGM. The Mets really have had awful luck the past 2 weeks. I mean, it is insane. Like, it's not just a baseball god thing. It is just insane. Like, there's only so much you could do at some point. Sometimes you're just going to get hit with the injury bug, and it's going to plague you. Let's just be grateful that it isn't as serious, at least to this point, when it comes to the magnitude of injuries, right? That versus what we've seen in previous years, especially under, the Will Ponzing regime. It just felt like every single year the Mets sustained brutal injuries that were like key demises to their season. Griffin Canny, if the Mets lose him for a significant period of time, most certainly hurts their rotation, no doubt about it. But at that same exact time, you could at least say to yourself, the Mets do have some reinforcements in-house still. Kodai Senga should be back hopefully before the end of July or absolute latest there August. No, they're not going to stretch out Jose Butto as a starter because he has been not stretched out as a starter in over a calendar year. They're not going to do that now when they specifically had him begin spring training this year as a reliever instead of a starter ramp up. No chance that happens. Same way that Clay Holmes, he's been ramped up as a starter, so he will stay there, but Butto has not been. So he is not going to be moving out of that position. But really, guys, there are 4 people that come to mind right away when you think of the Mets and their injuries right now. And that has to do with the following. Keep butchering the Mets names tonight. And Care Bear, I did notice that a little bit. Yeah, it's kind of bizarre. That doesn't happen too often. But yes, no, you are right. But talking about the pitchers that are in now the mix for the Mets to consider, the immediate guys you think of right away, Kodai Senga, once he gets back from injury, we're all waiting for him. Tyler McGill, once he gets back from injury too, but they're still weeks away. We know this. And then you also look at the in-house options outside of the Brandon Waddell's, who the Mets just pitched, the Justin Hagemans, who we know can be batting practice. You look at 2 very young, exciting arms in the minor leagues, and we're going to expand on this more in a greater segment tomorrow, guys. So I'm not going to spoil all of this, but tomorrow you're going to understand in our greater segment how there is great reality behind at least one of this becoming actuality, and we're going to break that down. And it's not necessarily just Brandon Sproat, but it's really a lot more to do with Noel McLain and Jonathan. And I would make the argument that it's Noel McLain and Jonathan over Brandon Sproat, even with Jonathan not in Syracuse yet. And I will expand as to why that is tomorrow. Blade Tidwell is in this group as well, because Blade did not pitch terrible when we saw him pitch in Philadelphia. I mean, he was far from the Mets' biggest Achilles heel in that ballgame, no doubt about it, right? But Blade Tidwell is not a guy that's necessarily going to give you deep and long outings. So because of that reason is why I think that there's still a heavy reservation with how much of a leash do the Mets want to give someone like him, knowing that you're really going to need to dip deeper into your bullpen more often than not when you get to his turn in the rotation, should the Mets consider someone like him for a decent period of time. Ben Cruz, how we doing, my man? Good one for y'all. Prayers for Canning. As a Sox fan, Walker Buehler could possibly be a trade piece. Should we sell? I can see the Mets being a fit. Funny enough, the Mets actually saw Walker Buehler to a degree in the past, and the Mets actually had, it went viral on Reddit this past offseason. It was a Walker Buehler like promo thing for him if he signed with the Mets, and it was like this like handheld thing where you open it up like a little box, and it like had this little like design and like video of him as if he was in a Mets uniform. The Mets have shown interest in Buehler in the past, but I know Buehler has also been horrendous on being consistent this season. But I know it's one of those things, beggars can't be choosers. The Mets will pretty much take as much pitching reinforcements as they can get right now due to their injuries. But Buehler's not a guy I see the Mets going down that route unless he really like his potential upside at a cost that's more of a fraction of some other guys at the deadline. Otherwise, I don't know how much they're going to bark up that tree. So it's good conversation, though, for sure. And yes, I know, we're all beyond distraught about Griffin Canning TV. You're not the only one, my man. Trust me. Buehler hates the Mets. He will not come. That's fine. I mean, I can give a rat's ass if Buehler wants to be a New York Met or not. I think we will get through it just fine. Oh, Wardy, I've been MIA with the real life. No worries, Alberto. We talk about real life. I'm busy with it every single day when I'm not doing the content. So I hear you, brother. Thank you so much for being a great member nonetheless. LGM, baby. Happy to have you in here. What about Matt Allen? Matt Allen is not being stretched as a starter right now, and he's a ways away. Matt Allen is only pitching right now with the Brooklyn Cyclones. To give you guys some context, Matt Allen is nowhere close to being at the major league level as a starter. If he gets to the bigs at any point in the next year or so, that's because he moved his way up as a reliever, not as a starter. It will not happen. We will be very fortunate if a guy like Matt Allen gets back to being a starting type prospect for this Mets team. Right now, it's just about staying healthy. That's the most important thing. I'm at the stabbing cabin, says Truman. Yeah, I'm at the stabbing cabin. I like that you picked up on it after a while. If you guys don't know, this is a place I hit when I'm currently out of town for a decent period of time. And if you guys don't normally see my backdrop of my newspapers and my Mets layout behind me, this is more often than not, this is usually the only alternate location I have. Other than that, it's more IRL where I'm actually at a game or I'm really out of town where I have to do my live show from my phone, in a car, walking somewhere, or, if I'm in a hotel or something like that. But this one you guys will see probably more than most other stuff. Let's see here. Merrill Kelly I wouldn't be opposed to at all, nor would I be at all upset with taking a chance at Mr. Why am I blanking right now? Oh my goodness gracious. Not Merrill Kelly, Zach Gallen. There we go. Because Zach Gallen is going to be free agent at the end of the season. You want to know something crazy, everybody? Sandy Alcantara, however you pronounce his name, Zach Gallen were like traded for each other back in the day. And when they were traded for each other, if I'm not mistaken, it's kind of crazy to see how now both are options for the Mets of this year's deadline. And both are guys that are having very underwhelming seasons. But one of them is an upcoming free agent. The other still has a little bit of control in Sandy, if I'm not mistaken. But Zach is a guy that I love. He's a New York. He's not a New York native, but he's an East Coast guy there from Jersey. And I think that he would bode well for this Mets team in the lab. I really, really do. Let's see here. Steve, what are we talking about in the chat? What about Lugo? I'm not opposed to Seth Lugo either, but I don't know the Royals are going to sell. I actually do have a segment that's going to be coming out on the platform in the near future regarding Lugo, so be on the lookout for that. Actually, we may even do that as soon as tomorrow. You'll just have to see. But we do have stuff to talk about with Lugo as we do with other guys. But my big concern with Lugo is more so on the willingness of the Royals to spend, because right now the Royals are absolutely going to be pushing for a wild card spot in what is a very weak American League. And you can't fault them after the run that they had last year. And they're hoping that a guy like Jack Caglione, who they just obviously called up not long ago, can help propel them, along with Bobby Witt Jr., who just announced that he'll be part of Team USA for the World Baseball Classic for next year. That was officially announced earlier today. And Miguel Garcia as well, if I'm not mistaken. They have some pieces there for sure. I slipped instead of taking a chance. Oh, then I apologize. I don't know what I was doing there. Tyler Anderson would be a Stearns move. It would be a Stearns move to a degree. Fun fact, the Mets have had a level of interest in Tyler Anderson in the past, but that was more so when it was the Billy Epler regime, and then Anderson ended up signing with the LA Angels, if I'm not mistaken, after he had that nice final season with the LA Dodgers. Mitch Keller from the Pirates. I like Keller quite a bit. Yep, he's a guy that I'm sure the Mets will absolutely consider if they aren't already. And we've broken down Keller on the platform already, guys. So definitely be on the lookout for that. Needs Stearns to go all in. Enough with the prospect hugging. This is your 5 of Steve Cohen's plan. Let's effing do this and just go for it. I don't really disagree with you at all there. I want the Mets to go for it. How can you not want the Mets to go for it right now? Wardy, what about Luis Castillo or Sandy? I don't see Luis Castillo going anywhere, if I'm being honest. I'll have to see it to believe it. We talk about Luis Castillo as a trade option every single year, and every single year he ends up going nowhere. He did get traded when he was on the Reds, but in the case of the Mariners, it's a little bit of a different dynamic because they've had some great offense from guys like Cal Riley this year. And while I do think that they should add for more areas of need, which is certainly on the offensive end, Castillo is a horse in that rotation. And I know that they don't just want to give him up for nothing. They would still want a decent return. But if you're willing to eat majority of that contract, you have to wonder what the Mariners' interest level would be there. It would be the same, or if it would change at all. Apologies, everybody. I'm just double checking to make sure that I didn't see any other key quotes here. That's the most important thing. Give me 1 second, guys. Specifically, when we look at Carlos Mendoza tonight, that's the main thing that I'm just double checking my phone right now. Alonso said the bullpen was nailed tonight, and he also said prayers and blessings to Canning. Austin Warren says on the difficulties of keeping focus after Griffin Kennedy went down with his injury, and he said the following, and I quote, "It was definitely tough. When I saw him go down and not get up, I instantly jumped up, got moving around, and sure enough, my name was called." So Warren knew right away that they were going to just throw him in to kind of be the mop reliever in that sense, because he needed to throw guys in there right away that can eat some innings. And for Warren to give the Mets 2 scoreless the way that he just dominated to do so tonight, everybody, is exactly why not only Warren, but this entire collective Mets pitching staff gets a damn good, a rock solid 9.5 out of 10 from your guy Wardy. When you have a collective shutty, you get a 9.5. The only reason why we're not going 10 with this pitching staff tonight is because it wasn't a no-no. It wasn't a, like a perfect game, that kind of stuff. It was a great game, but the Mets still did give up a couple hits, and they still The fact that the Mets only gave up 3 hits and no walks is actually even more impressive to me. Like, I didn't even connect the dots there really till now. That's actually insane. Yeah, 9.5 is definitely worthy of this grade if you ask me. I think you guys could all agree there on a scale of 1 to 10. I'm going 9.5 on grading this entire Mets pitching staff. Like, not one single walk today and just 3 hits. That's it. And none of those hits were like proficient either. Those were all just simple rinky-dinky base knocks. Not a problem. Peter Berg there with a $5 holla. Thank you so much for the donation, my friend. I appreciate that. No, the man bird. I'm not even going to say what you're saying. Just no. Stop the nonsense. It'll never happen. It'll literally never happen. I have as equal of a chance of being signed by the Mets tomorrow as he does, to share some light and context. For any of the fans out there that still can't comprehend as to why that guy isn't in the league right now. Heyman thinks that Duran won't be a Met, but take that with a grain of salt. No, I like Jaron Duran a lot, but Heyman's not bluffing when he's saying that either. I do not think Duran is as much of a likelihood as a Luis Robert or a Cedric Mullins. I think actually in order, you could argue that it is Luis Robert, Cedric Mullins, Jaron Duran, and the likelihood of them being traded to the Mets. And we broke down more on Robert today in our video earlier, not only on Robert, but also we broke down Aroldis Chapman, who I think goes without saying makes endless sense for this Mets bullpen. You might not love Chapman, you might hate Chapman as an individual, and that's fine, but as a reliever, he's amongst the best in baseball this season at the young age of 37, and he is as shut down as you could get or really look for, especially while evaluating that true dominant lefty role in that bullpen. There's a glaring hole there right now, and that can be filled and then some by Aroldis Chapman. And all I got to say for you guys, make sure to check out my video from earlier today in case you guys didn't have it didn't already. It's hard to not see a Chapman 8th inning and an Edwin Diaz 9th inning not being electric. That's what I have to say about that. So, again, I'm not saying that's going to work entirely. For all we know, if the Mets would trade for him, he gets rocked. Things, of course, can happen. But I think the upside is absurd for the Mets not to at least consider. And newsflash, everybody, they are absolutely considering it. That's why we're talking about it right now. Damn, forgot about the GM. Who are we talking about it? No worries. I would become a Yankees fan if you sign with the Mets. That's hilarious. That is hilarious. That really is. But getting back into this one, everybody, let's continue to break down whatever comments, questions, or concerns you got for your guy Wardy tonight. Tyler Naquin as a pitcher this time. Yeah, we were just talking about Tyler Naquin on a live show yesterday that many of you guys saw. And in case you guys don't know the story there with Tyler Naquin, who was initially I apologize, traded to the Mets there back in 2022, had a nice month and a half or so, and then was out of baseball a year or so after that. And now he's ramping up his career again, this time as a reliever, same as the case with Joey Gallo, as both are no longer MLB caliber bats and are just seeing if they can, get the job done by being flame-throwing pitching options. Kevin says, Wardy, what are the chances trading for Sandy? I would say the chances of trading for Sandy are solid. Like, if I had to put a percentage on it, I would say the chances of the Mets landing Sandy via trade are at least 25 to 30%. In the sense that I think the Mets are absolutely going to trade for a starter that is in his realm of profile and trade value right now. So whether it's Sandy or someone of similar profile, while I know there isn't an abundance out there right now, for that reason, I would say we're at least a 25 to 30% range, with potential of it being someone greater than that, someone not so great as that, or someone in between. But again, we have talked about a lot of starter options for this Mets team, and we will continue to do exactly that with the content that we will have dropping for each and every one of you tomorrow. So make sure that you guys are on the lookout for that, as we will have a big Mets update segment that I'm sure that will drop in the AM. We also may have a video drop around midday tomorrow as well, and then you, of course, will get there the live stream after the Mets game against the Pittsburgh Pirates for Game 1 in Pittsburgh, win, lose, or draw. Apologies, everybody. I was just making sure that everything was set on my phone for a second. Let's see here. Mets should sign Erickson. Now we're talking. Let's see. Kyle Finnegan feels like a solid Stearns piece. Hilariously enough, when Finnegan was initially dropped by the Nationals before he then signed back with them on, I think, a minor league deal or so, he was a guy that I was pondering that could make sense for the Mets. But the reason why I ultimately did not discuss Finnegan too much is because profiles were a little underwhelming, and I didn't really see the Mets going the route of Finnegan. Finnegan in the end. And again, that is a reliever profile that I don't hate, but I really need the Mets to go out and make sure that they land at least one dominant lefty, because Brooks Raley's awesome, but I need more there because it really doesn't pan out the way we hope it will. They have literally no true lefty options in this bullpen, and that simply can't be had. They need to go out and shore up that spot. They need to shore up, obviously, their rotation to a degree right now with some potential immediate help with Griffin Canning down if they don't get maybe that immediate help in-house. So we'll talk about more on those in-house options in tomorrow's content for each and every one of you. Let's see here. What would it take to get Chapman? That's a good question because it's going to probably be a bidding war to a degree for Chapman, but I don't think it's going to cost you. I think at absolute worst for Matt Chapman, it costs you one top prospect. That's my assumption for a Matt Chapman type reliever. At absolute worst, it costs you one top guy that you really didn't love the idea of trading away, but you did because you knew the immediate impact. That, like Chapman could be the X factor between your bullpen being good and great in postseason play, and that's good enough, in my opinion, to consider trading away a decent piece. But anything beyond that's really tough to consider because he's a rental, right? And he's 37. And if he gets rocked and has a poor second half with the Mets, then you say to yourself, oh my God, I just gave up a decent prospect for a reliever who became batting practice for me. And that obviously isn't ideal either. But then you look at the controllable pieces, right? And that's where I think I wouldn't be overly shocked if the Mets did consider trading away one of maybe their young infielders and maybe a 1-for-1 trade for Chapman, for the sake of, we know that they're really not going to thrive here. Maybe they'll be able to thrive and blossom somewhere else. And we have such an area of need right now that Chapman just makes endless sense there. Let's go ahead and pull the trigger. And we're talking about a role with Chapman, everybody. We're not talking about Matt Chapman, because Matt Chapman's going to help lead the way for the Giants this season, as they will be making postseason play, barring a horrendous second half. And speaking of the San Francisco Giants, everybody, we are in fact going to be live from Citi Field, everybody, which I am so excited to get into with each and every one of you. And I'm actually going to do this real quick, everybody. Paul, I apologize just for 1 second. Just had to hop back to my slide from yesterday, as I do want to run this for each and every one of you to check out real quick in case you guys have already, for the amazing event that we have at Citi Field coming up real soon. Take a look, everybody. It's Wardy here, and as you can see, we are at gorgeous Citi Field, and folks, you can get the ultimate, the prime experience with your guy Wardy at our first ever official Wardy Day. August 1st, Mets, San Francisco Giants there for the evening game. The day after the MLB trade deadline, you, your friends, your loved ones, select Mets fans will get the ultimate experience with your guy Wardy. Not only are we going to hang out at the ball game together, but folks, look at this seating. We're going to be live here in the left field lounge. You guys will be able to chop it up with your guy Wardy. We're going to be debating as to who's the best pitcher of the rotation outside of Kodai Senga. We're going to be talking about who's the next best prospect to get called up. How do we feel about the trade deadline acquisitions? And guys, as you get back up here then, we are going to be giving you a $18 drink voucher, and with that drink voucher, you guys are going to be able to hit up the bars that we have right outside of here. So easy, so accessible. Again, prime seating, a truly fantastic experience. Our first ever Wardy Day here at Citi Field, guys, where you will get a chance to hang out with your guy Wardy. And the best part too, not only is it this amazing lounge in left field that you guys will hang out with me, but we're going to be on the field, pre-game access there for a group photo op. So I hope to see you, all you amazing Mets fans there. Click the link if you guys haven't already there to check out our available tickets, and let's go Mets. And not only are we going to be sitting here throughout the course of the ball game, you guys can also check out the seats that we have access to all here in the bar area here, right at the Milagro, where you guys can utilize your $18 drink voucher. Again, this is going to be at Wardy Day, August 1st, 2025. Oh wait, yeah, almost forgot. It's also fireworks night. Bang! Hope to see you guys there. All right, guys, thanks so much for checking that out. And Tito Soto in the chat, you're not wrong, especially in the fact that, yeah, drinks are expensive, but we did the best we could. We were able to get up to $18 there on the drink voucher. So we're absolutely going to take that as part of our deal when I was working with the Mets there. So very happy to get that event set up, guys. It's going to be electric. We're likely going to be doing a live post-game show or some type of live show from Citi Field and that lounge itself there with all you guys that actually attend the game. And fireworks night, as I mentioned, so we're going to be hanging out after the game as well together. together. It's going to be electric. So I really do hope that as many of you guys get a chance to partake in that you check out the tickets down below there in the description of the live show today. It says Wardy tickets here. Click that link, see if they are of interest to you guys. And again, thank you so much for that. Let's see here. A Wardy day or bust? Absolutely. Will I be doing callers again soon, Steven? Yes, not tonight, unfortunately, but we will be doing live callers again soon. If not for the Pirates series, and I would hope early next week, because I really do want to get live callers going. We haven't done them in a hot minute now, and that is long overdue. And I'm glad that you brought that up, actually. So thank you so much for that. Let's see. Are you considering doing some post-game interviews with us for the day if we come? Ben, not just post-game interviews. I will let you guys actually like partake in my post-game coverage with me to a degree. We will actually, if depending on what the Mets allow us to do, I would love nothing more than to do an actual live show at Citi Field, and you guys will all be around me, and we all set it up, and you guys are all sitting with me. Whoever's comfortable being in camera, you guys will all be able to partake in doing the post-game show with me, literally with me, like what we're doing right now. But instead of it doing it where you guys are chatting with me in the chat and I'm talking here, let's do it side by side, have proper discourse, have some drinks, have some fun, and let's just have ourselves a really fun time at Citi Field the day after the MLB trade deadline, when there's so much that's going to happen as well. It's going to be a lot of fun. So yeah, again, if you guys want to have that kind of one-on-one, hang out with your guy Wardy in a way that you haven't had before, I haven't gotten a chance to do it with you guys either. First amenity that we'll be doing at Citi Field this and the years going forward, please make sure to check it out. Let's see. Of course, John. That's exactly what's happening. Thank you. Bingo. Yes, and we have done live shows before, but nothing to the degree of a group outing like this at Citi Field. So this will actually be a first of its kind. So if you guys want the inaugural Wardy Day, you do not want to miss out. Trust me, we're gonna have a lot of fun. And Mr. Delightful, what you get is you will be getting a seat in the left field lounge, which is not designated seating like how you get in the normal seats throughout the ballpark. It's like, as you saw in the video, actual lounge seats where it's like you sit in a kind of a curved booth area, and there's multiple levels to it where you can run around and kind of pick and choose where you want to sit and stuff like that. And you can walk all the way around there, get up, yell your head off, sit back down, however to the left, grab your drinks. We also have seats available right in that first row, right overlooking right everything in center field. It looks so sick. But yeah, make sure to check it out should you guys have interest. If I can get there, I will be there. PB9, thank you so much. I appreciate that. Thank you. Let's see here. Do the jingle now. I will be doing the jingle shortly. Don't you guys worry. But again, guys, I think final remarks from your guy Wardy before we get close to wrapping up the post-game show is as follows. Obviously, very disheartened to see Mr. Griffin Canning go down with the injury that he sustained tonight. Do I think it's the case of Canning, who has been, battling so far this year and trying to be a far more consistent starter than he has been in previous years in his career. While unfortunately it looks like he's getting the short end of the stick right here for this Mets team, they need to combat it. And the only way to combat it is to give kids a shot in the minor leagues now, whether it's guys on the 40-man or guys that you may consider activating on the 40-man now, should Canning be out long term. And then look between Kodai Senga, Sean, I didn't even say Sean Manaea yet tonight, did I, guys? So shame on me if I didn't mention that already. But with Manaea obviously ramping up, and even with his slight setback, he will be back with this Mets team hopefully no longer than the next week and a half or so. From there, you get Manaea back to Simone Southpaw. That immediately replaces what you lost in Canning in this rotation, so that's a plus. And then beyond that, you consider what you have with your in-house options with Brandon Sproat, Noah McLean, Jonah Tom, Blake Tidwell, Justin Hageman, and then on the trade front, there is an abundance of options that we've broken down plenty on the platform for you guys. So again, make sure to check out all of our previous content on the trade front. We have a top 10 trade target video that we dropped a couple weeks ago with Freddie Peralta and Cedric Mullins on the thumbnail, if I'm not mistaken. Check that out in case you guys haven't already. Be on the lookout for our content that drops tomorrow. Watch our video that we dropped from earlier today if you guys didn't do that already. And thank you again so much, everybody, for hitting that like and subscribe on your way in and on your way out. I greatly appreciate that. Ryan, thank you so much for the $5 high. I appreciate that. Ryan says, great memory. Me and my girl just found out she's pregnant. Oh shit, that's amazing. Ryan, hype me up, Ryan. Are you kidding me? Oh my God, what a buzzer beater. Bang, that is amazing news, Ryan. Congratulations, guys. Can we get some love and hype in the chat for our guy Ryan? Him and his lady are attending Wardy Day, and on top of it all, they're expecting. That is fantastic. I'm so happy to hear that. We need more Mets dads in the space, baby. Add them all, add them all. All I gotta say is if it's a boy, happy to meet Mr. Alonso. If it's a girl, happy to meet Mrs. Met. I'm half joking. Whatever you name him or her, just congratulations to you, your lady, your entire family. That is fantastic news, my friends. So happy to hear that. Thank you again for the donation as well. If you're going to be there, we're going to be having a blast. Don't you worry. We're going to be having a lot of fun. I want to make sure that we don't get a little too crazy, especially if we're going to have, the pregnant mama with. Not a problem. Alexis, thank you so much for the $2 haul. I appreciate that. Love you, Ryan. That's so awesome to hear. Really happy for you and your family. That's fantastic news. Who goes to AAA for Vientos? Great question. And it's still between Ronnie Mauricio and Jared Young. It really feels like that's not going to be anyone else. Are the Mets going to send down Travis Jankowski? I doubt it. I think the Mets will like Jankowski as a pinch runner role. I think that they find value and that I do understand it to a degree. So I would say it's between Young and Mauricio as to who gets sent down, and we will just have to wait and see tomorrow who exactly that's going to be. Again, I would like it to be Young, but if Mauricio gets sent down, it is obviously not only because he needs more polishing, but also because he needs more consistent reps. And I'm not at all one of those people that's opposed to a young player being sent down if it means that he's going to be getting consistent playing time again. I think that in itself is a good thing. But guys and gals, that is going to do it for our latest post-game coverage presented by our awesome friends at BetUS, Mumu, the official trading platform of the New York Mets, and of course, they're at SeatGeek. Make sure to check them out once more, everybody. SeatGeek, WardyNYM, link down below in the description for 10% off your next ticket purchase. Thank you guys again so much for watching, and I will let it run because you guys keep spamming and asking it, because you guys are relentless. I will let it rip as we always do before we get out of here with the one, the only, the official WardyNYM post-game jingle. Have a good night, everybody. Let's have some fun. Let's go.
Postgame. Postgame. Calling all Met fans, come and join us now. Talk about this game and gonna break it down. It's Mets Postgame.
Shout out to Greg and Jordan, as always, with the official WardyNYM post-game jingle. You guys are amazing. Thank you so much for the endless support, and I will see you all tomorrow for more Mets coverage. Have a great night.